Hi everyone, Kyanite here. Now this is going to be a really quick video that's going to cover how to actually do man marking in Football Manager 2017. This has actually been requested by quite a few people. If you already know how to do man marking, don't worry about it. Go onto my channel and check out some of the other videos. But because of my recent Klopp video and my Conte tactical video where both tactics are strikerless, and both tactics kind of require strikers to fall back into midfield. So, for example, Conte's 3-4-3 becomes a 4-5-1 when a 4-5-1, a 5-4-1 when off the ball, because two of the strikers drop back to become wingers when off the ball to create a flank of four in midfield. And the only way to achieve that in the current match engine is by utilising man marking. So what happens when you use man marking is you assign certain players man marking roles. When you're off the ball, when they're in a defensive mindset, they will then try and man mark the players you've assigned them to. When you've got the ball, when you're attacking, they then have a little bit more freedom to maybe go back central or wherever you've put the players. So essentially you could end up with like an attacking midfielder, a central attacking midfielder, for example, when you're off the ball, essentially playing out on the left wing if you've told him to man mark your opposition right winger, for example. So let's try and ignore the fact that I'm on a Spurs save. Hint, hint. I've got a Pochettino video coming up quite soon. That kind of explains it. But just to go into a little bit more detail. So in this case, this is our Klopp boom tactic, right? Where what happens is it looks like a 4-3-3 on paper, but it becomes a 4-5-1 or a 4-1-4-1 when off the ball, because this guy drops down to become more of a defensive midfielder, and in this case this guy, which is normally Coutinho, and this guy, which is kind of like Mane, will drop down to the wings. The only way to get them to do that is to tell Eriksen, for example, who's the left central attacking midfielder, to man mark your opposition right winger. So because Eriksen is on our left, you've got to bear in mind that the other team are the other way round, so you tell Eriksen on the left to man mark the opposition right winger. That way when you lose the ball and the opposition are attacking, Eriksen will pull out wide and try to man mark that winger, and that's what will allow him to fall back and create that extra man in midfield and create the defensive shape. So what we're going to do is, I'm honestly not even bothered about the lineup we're going to kick things off in. I'm going to go straight into this Sunderland game, who was surprisingly fourth. Credit where it's due, David Moyes. Let's just try and... I'm going to go into the game and show you guys what our shape looks like off the ball without the man marking settings. And then I'm going to show you how to apply the man marking settings, because a lot of people don't know how to do this. And to be fair, in previous versions of FM, you used to be able to specify two formations in your tactics, an on-the-ball formation and an off-the-ball formation, and that used to allow us to essentially achieve this. So SI, if you're watching, please bring that back. I've been wanting it back for years. So the only way to achieve that currently in the new match engine is by using the man marking. It used to be a lot more obvious in previous versions before they revamped the match engine and you still had the sliders, but a lot of people still have no idea how to do it post slider. And to be fair, it's not that easy to find, and I understand why people have been asking me how to do it. So in this case, we've got the 4-3-3 going on, the Klopp approach. We'll be wanting Eriksen to man mark Januzaj and Son Heung-min to man mark Barini, in terms of what I've instructed people to do as part of this tactic. What this will do, it means Son Heung-min, because Barini is going to be roughly in this area, it'll force Son Heung-min, that's a mouthful, isn't it, to fall back into this space, which allows us to create what's essentially five in midfield. So just to kick things off, let's take a quick look at what our shape looks like off the ball. Yeah, I didn't really want to score a goal. Can we just... Right, okay, I restarted the game to get rid of that goal. Not that it'll really make a difference. But in this case, obviously, same tactics going on after restarting. And as you can see, we don't currently have the man marking enabled. So what that has resulted in is essentially these three central attacking midfielders just kind of chilling over here. And in an ideal world, we actually want Eriksen in that space there, and Son Heung-min in this space here to create that flank of four in midfield. Obviously, potentially one of these guys will drop into a defensive mid position. If not, then it'll be a flat 5 in midfield. And you can see why you'd want this guy or this guy to drop back into this area, because at the current moment in time, if Jones, for example, joins in the Sunderland attack for the overlap, Danny Rose has no cover, and that's something you've got to be careful when you've got these narrow formations, particularly up against a formation like the 4-3-3 or the 4-1-4-1 or whatever you want to call it in this case. So you can see why you'd want to enable the man marking. So in this case, we're going to tell Eriksson to man mark Januzaj, and we're going to tell Son Heung-min to man mark Borini. That should now mean the next time Sunderland attack, these two guys will roughly be in this position here. So how can we set the man marking? It's quite simple. Bear in mind, you can only do this if you're in game. You can't do it before entering a game. You can do it just before you kick off if you like. So in this case, obviously the reason why you can't do it before entering the game is because for some reason it makes the assumption that because you don't know what starting 11 your opponents are going to be playing with until match day itself, you can't really... So Eriksson, if you go into his player instructions and click on edit, you then suddenly have this mark specific player option, which you won't have when you're just messing around with your tactics outside of a game. So in this case, who do I want Christian Eriksen to mark? It kind of suggests someone for you. In this case, it's suggesting a defensive midfielder, which kind of makes sense because Eriksen is in a central position, but obviously we don't want that whatsoever. So in our case, Eriksen is our left attacking central midfielder. That means I want him to man mark Januzaj. So I'll select Januzaj. Next up, Son Heung-min. Who do I want him to man mark? I want him to man mark Fabio Borini. Boom. And then you confirm changes. And that's it. Man marking enable. Really simple. Right, so in this scenario here now, we've now enabled the man marking. And immediately we can see the shape, or our, as in Spurs' defensive shape, is a lot different. Borini is out here on Sunderland's left wing. Harry Kane, obviously one of the central midfielders, as in ball-winning midfielders, is closing Borini down, but Son Heung-min is also covering that area in front of Kyle Walker, rather than being in and around Dembele, who's a central striker, or Sturridge in that case, for example. We can also see Eriksson on the other side, who's dropped back. So even though Eriksson and Son Heung-min are attacking midfielders, the man marking has allowed us to dictate the shape we want off the ball, and it's resulted with us getting more men behind the ball. In this case, the Klopp tactic, creating that 4-1-4-1 or the 4-5-1 that Klopp does when off the ball. And when we win the ball back, before you know it, Son Heung-min and Eriksson will basically forget about their defensive responsibilities, and they'll push forward back into the space, to central space where they really belong, and contribute going forward. But yeah, on that note, hopefully that helped. I know quite a few people requested it, and to be fair, it's not an easy thing to find, but hopefully now you know exactly where to find it. Let me know how it goes for you, especially if it's going to be with either my Klopp approach or my Conte approach. The exact same concept applies if you're trying to use my Conte tactic and trying to get Hazard and so on to track back to the wings. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you've just come across my channel and you've not seen any of my other videos, feel free to go check them out. And until next time, thanks for watching.